Hello, beautiful friends. So I'm gonna do the stupid infomercial thing, because why not? Do you find yourself dissatisfied or disenfranchised by the world? Do you find yourself imagining or yearning for solutions to problems that current leaders and institutions seem unable to find, even though they're making millions of dollars and theoretically it's their job? Are you annoyed that your job is monotonous, redundant, makes little use of your actual skills and potential, and treats you more like a cog than the creative mind and dynamic body that you know yourself to be? Do you struggle to love yourself because it seems like most of the systems of the world seem more invested in how many hours a day they can keep you working and how much money they can squeeze from you? Do you feel like most of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis have little relation to your actual joys and needs? Are you annoyed that self-care usually just means treating yourself, which usually just means buying a bath bomb or latte or takeout, which are great while they last, but don't really heal your deeper needs? Yeah, me too. But, spoiler alert, I don't have solutions to these problems, just some ideas and suggestions. And I'm really just looking for more people who feel this way and want to do something about it. But it is super difficult to pull off. Because sometimes loving yourself means standing up for yourself, even in the face of great personal risk. But sometimes loving yourself means disengaging, moving on, or just spending some time licking your wounds. So how are we supposed to know the difference? Given that what feels right for one person does not always, or even necessarily often, feel right for other people, how are we supposed to discern what will work for us? What will bring us joy? What will make us feel more fearless and less alone? And on the flip side, now that the world is becoming more and more connected, and we continue to meet people who don't look like us, speak like us, act like us, feel like us, believe like us, like the same things that we like, or need the same things that we need, how do we admit that learning new things can be scary? That change is hard, without silencing diversity, reinforcing our own perspectives, and causing harm to the people we are trying to understand better? These are some of the most difficult questions that I have encountered, and I do not claim to have easy answers. To be quite honest, I would encourage you to be skeptical of people who claim to, because they probably haven't considered these things very deeply, and are likely just espousing whatever works for them and selling it as something that will work for everyone, ignoring the difficult consequences of their perspectives, or silencing the people that it doesn't work so well for. I want to contribute as little as possible to this violence of certainty, ego, or optics, so I want to be as honest with you as possible from the start. I don't have absolute answers to these things. And if you stick around on this channel, I encourage you to take my perspective as seriously or as critically as feels right to you, but always with a grain of salt, or at least a measure of healthy perspective. Unfortunately, I will never be able to meet all of you watching this personally, so what I say may or may not apply very well to your circumstances, to your needs, or the things you're going through. That is ultimately up for you to decide. But I started this channel because I believe in your ability to decide whether or not there's anything you can learn from me, whether there's anything you want to learn from me. But first, it would probably help to know me a little better. So my name is Joss, Joss. My pronouns are she or they. I am trans femme, so that informs a lot of my perspective, mostly because even when I can stop thinking about gender, other people don't seem to be able to when they're around me. So I can't ever really ignore the lens of gender, I can just pay less attention to it sometimes. So a word about that. To all of you masculine folks out there, let me assure you that you have my sympathies, because masculinity is a scary place these days. And I say that as someone who is socialized in it. And it's okay to be afraid. Admitting that you're afraid is one of the best first steps that you can take to not making your fears other people's problems, as masculinity seems so wont to do at the moment. And to all of you fellow femmes, every day I appreciate more and more how little space there is for a femininity that people do not immediately associate with lesser. Connecting with my femininity is probably, legitimately, one of the scariest things I've ever done. So whether you've been living femininity your whole life, or a couple of years, or just a couple of minutes every now and again, good for you. To be femme is to be brave in some measure or another, so I am proud of you. And that's enough on gender for now. I am deeply fascinated by psychology and science, but I have very little formal training in either field, and I'm mostly interested in how they better explain human experiences. Because I have studied religion for a long time, I will inevitably engage religious content and topics of spirituality, but I have zero interest in starting a religion, and I don't even really believe that the word is particularly helpful anymore, if it ever was. And as for spirituality, the word just feels too big, and I have a lot of hang-ups with many of the people who use it, so it just kind of feels unnecessary, unnecessarily cringy for me at this point. But the standard millennial spiritual but not religious thing, close enough. I'm pretty leftist, sociopolitically speaking, but that does not mean that I believe in the DNC or really too much of anything national for that matter. And lastly for now, I am beginning to take some pride in the supposed insult snowflake, because snowflakes are some of the most aesthetically beautiful forms of precipitation. Plus, I really value my individuality, even my fragility, because I believe that it makes me a more humble person, a person more capable of feeling things deeply, which in turn makes me more empathetic and more aware of the ways in which I must rely on other people. And we all have to rely on other people. Some of us just enjoy pretending like we don't. But as someone who lives in Syracuse, the snowiest city in the continental US, I can assure you that while a couple snowflakes are easy to disregard, enough snowflakes working together can grind cities to a halt. However, the thing that I would most like you to know about me today is this. After all the wounds I have sustained, I still believe in people. In their ability to articulate their needs and in their ability to manage their lives more effectively than our leaders and institutions have often given us enough credit or opportunities for. Power may be powerful, but control is always an illusion, never a reality. So the most honest answer I could give to you for why you should keep watching these videos or subscribe to my page, why listening to me think out loud might help you unlock your own life, would have, like many things, two parts. So first, I believe that the power to learn and grow depends less on who your teachers are and more on how you approach them. A perspective of openness and learning will get you a lot farther than just parroting someone else's knowledge. And more than what I know, I hope to share with you the ways I have come about learning or seeing things in this way, so that when you feel disoriented, scared, confused, or alone, you can apply the principles and values you have cultivated, and apply them to unique situations of your life. As someone who has drunkenly Googled hyper-specific questions like, what do I do when I feel afraid that the world might be ending? Or how do I know if I'm making the right decision? An embarrassing number of times, only to find myself on weird Christian apocalypse sites. I can assure you that I am not a guru. I have just come to learn the value of thinking carefully about the people and voices that I can trust, and have begun to look in better places to find what I need. Which brings me to number 2, that I hope to stay as honest here as possible with you. Much more of life I am unsure about than I am certain of, and for the most part, I like keeping my options and perspectives open, and I value my agnosticism because I believe that it makes me slower to judge, less partial, and more open-minded. But it's also hard to build a livable life on a question mark. At a certain point, you have to put your trust in something if you hope to keep finding joy in living. But a lot of the things that I was taught to put my trust in didn't work out for me the way that I had hoped. And I will be honest in saying that I don't know yet how much or how little of what I feel and value today will be true for me in 10 years, 2 years, next week at the rate that the world is moving right now. But in my best moments, that excites me. And many of the values that I currently have still look a lot like the values that I had when I was younger. So there's a good measure of consistency. But I try to regularly remind myself that I have the freedom and often the necessity to change my mind and keep learning and growing. So here's what I know. I know that for a lot of my life, I felt consistently suicidal, and now those thoughts are really rare for me. A lot of days it's still hard to get too excited about what's happening in the world, but as I continue to combat my worst feelings of fear, I feel more interested in what my role in shaping things might be. more taken with awe by how even a small amount of joy can cut through all the heaviness and weight of life and somehow keep hope alive. I still struggle a lot with loving my body, and I've all but given up on ever totally silencing the voices that make me compare myself to others too harshly. But I can better handle them when they arrive, and I'm less surprised or scared when they show up. I still feel profoundly challenged and exhausted by life. I just feel more prepared at handling it. And I am proud of who I am becoming, in the life I've participated in help creating for myself, in the fact that I live with 3 other beautiful humans that I get to call my family, even though family has always felt like a really complicated and difficult idea for me to get behind. I'm less suspicious of things that feel good, and I can relax more than I used to be able to. I've made some mistakes and suffered some wounds that I still pretty regularly wish that I could change, but I'm thankful for what I've learned through my life thus far, and I have a deep desire to share what I've learned with others. And despite all the times that I thought it was cracked irreparably, I still find myself having an optimistic perspective for the future, for the things I still have to learn, for the person that I will become. And I want to keep learning the things that work for other people, to learn from their perspectives and their mistakes. Ultimately, I long for a world where people can more openly share the things they enjoy, to stand with one another in moments of fear, to grieve together in moments of loss, and to collectively shape a world that is more inclusive, more diverse, and better suited for the challenges of the future than the world that we currently have. Basically, my whole life, probably like many of you, I have been taught the value and necessity of individualism as a means of self-defense and survival. And it's not that I believe that we have nothing to learn from ourselves, but that the problems that we are facing, both as individuals and as a planet, are not capable of being solved if we do not learn to become deeper thinkers, better problem solvers, dynamic collaborators, and more gracious and loving people. And you have nothing to lose. We both know that you can always unsubscribe. So if you've stuck around this far, then I'm thankful for your time and for your heart. I really look forward to the possibilities of what this could be because I'm interested in all of us helping each other to feel a little less alone. So welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. If you have any questions for me, you can feel free to drop them in the comments below. And if you're curious about what this might become, then it would really encourage me to keep doing this if you would like this video or subscribe to my page. I'm working on caring less what other people think about me, but I'm far from perfect. And letting me know that this meant something to you will really make a difference to me and give me the strength to keep at this. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I love you all as I love myself, as we are part of the same world. I wish you peace and perspective as life continues to get more interesting. And I look forward to talking again with you all soon.